I'm Alice, and this is Nature News for the week of September 19th, 2020. Now, if you didn't know, I actually love bears. Of course, I love all wildlife. And researchers actually just found the coolest bear ever, no pun intended. They actually found the immaculately preserved remains of an Ice Age era bear that was unearthed by reindeer herders in the Russian Arctic. Now, the bear was revealed from melting permafrost on an island I'm gonna try to pronounce. It's called Lyakhovsky Islands in northeastern Russia. And the really cool thing about this bear is that its teeth and nose were intact, even part of its tongue. And the bear is thought to be a species of brown bear that actually lived 22 to 39,000 years ago. Pretty neat. Now, speaking of frozen things, some of the glaciers at Glacier National Park up in Montana have actually lost nearly 80% of their ice sheet since 1970. On the other side of the world, China has made a huge stand in the battle against plastic by announcing an end to plastic bags, straws, and shampoo bottles by 2025. Now, China is actually the biggest producer of plastic waste on the planet. Now, some of you are not going to be surprised to hear that, but maybe some of you are. Now, here are the details of this proposal. By the year's end, a ban is going to take effect on the production and sale of disposable foamed plastic tableware, straws, and plastic cotton buds. They're also going to have a ban on non-biodegradable plastic bags, which is going to go into phases starting this year. And they're going to expand that nationwide by 2025. Part of this plan is also that hotels have to stop handing out free disposable plastic products. So some of you that collect those might be a little bit sad to hear that. And couriers are instructed to stop using non-biodegradable plastic packaging by 2025. Now, since much of the globe buys plastic products from China, this is hopefully going to start a huge global shift away from plastic, because us Americans are going to have a harder time getting some of these products, and so new products are going to come on the market. Can you imagine falling asleep for a nice nap at the pool and being woken up to this? These cat nappers got rudely woken up by a rhino, but this next one will leave you with nightmares for weeks, because yes, that is a snake over there on the floor, and this woman woke up when it bit her on the foot. Oh! Of all wild animals, wolves generate more emotions among people than any other species. Throughout the ages, both folklore and human nature have played into the fearful emotions. We've got legends like werewolves and stories like Little Red Riding Hood, the Three Little Pigs. One that I read as a kid was The Wolves of Willoughby Chase. And these have all been mixed with our tendency to hate and fear what we don't understand. And for a long time, that's been wolves. In most of the world, wolves were actually hunted to near extinction and actual extinction. And the same goes here in the United States. Wolves were gone by the mid-19th century, but they're a vital part of the ecosystem. And it wasn't until they disappeared that we really began to understand how important they were. But last year, US Fish and Wildlife actually came out and said that they were going to delist wolves from the endangered species list in the lower 48 states. And just last week, they came back out and said that this was going to be done before the end of the year and that it was imminent, that it was going to happen, even though last year more than 1 million people signed statements and sent them into the US Fish and Wildlife Services saying that they opposed this. And in a study last year, actually, with the Center for Biodiversity, they actually did a big nationwide study on people's thoughts on reintroducing wolves or delisting them. 61% of people said that wolves were an important part of the natural biodiversity in the United States. 63% of people said that they opposed delisting wolves, and just 29% said they agreed with Trump's proposal to delist wolves. So still a little bit strong presence on both sides of the fence, but historically the debate and the controversy over wolves has been very strong. We've got ranchers and hunters bashing heads with conservationists, with naturalists, with environmentalists, and it's been kind of a gruesome and bloody battle. One of the other big news items about wolves this past week was that a new study actually out of Idaho showed that more than 570 wolves in a 1-year period in Idaho were actually killed. This included a lot of babies, and I don't care who you are if you think that killing the babies of any species, unless maybe it's spiders, is okay, then, you know, I don't think that any hunter, any logger would go out and kill a mother and baby of anything. It's not allowed for grizzlies. It's not allowed for mountain lions. You can't go out and do that for any other species. So I don't know why it should be allowed for wolves. And one of the big things with delisting from federal protection would be that the states would take over this management. And the problem that a lot of people see with that is that if states start managing wolves like Idaho does, where Idaho's plan is basically, we want to eliminate wolves, that's literally in their state management plan, do whatever we can to eliminate wolves from the state, then we're going to repeat history and we're not going to have any wolves in this country again. We're going to be working to make a species extinct, which I feel like is the complete opposite of what we should be doing. In past episodes, I've talked about rewilding. Basically takes an ecosystem that's broken or sick and fixes it by reintroducing the parts that we took out that broke it. So in the 1900s, in the early 1900s, in 1926 was the year the last wolf was seen in Yellowstone. Well, it took until 1995 for wolves to come back into that ecosystem. But the reason they did was because after they killed that last wolf, the elk population there, it blew up. Elk were everywhere. They were unmanageable numbers for the amount of grass and the amount of things that there were for them to eat. It broke the ecosystem. And so conservationists worked from 1966 until 1995 to get wolves back into Yellowstone, and they did. And today, wolves are in many states around the West. They're in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Actually, 4 wolves were just spotted in Colorado as well, and Colorado is actually set to vote on wolf reintroduction just this week, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, wolves have done a great job at spreading back throughout the United States, and it's helped the ecosystem. And I think it would be a disservice to this country, to our natural habitat in this country, to eradicate something we've worked so hard at bringing back. You know, there's other species that have come back from the brink, like bald eagles, like California condors. I don't think that we would just decide one day, oh, you know what, all that work we did for 30, 40 years, you should just go out and kill that species because, you know, they're pooping on my car or eating too much of my grass or eating too many of the fish out of my fish pond. I don't think that we would do that. So I think we just need to think about things differently. We maybe need to manage things better. You know, in Africa, there are lots of people that herd livestock in the middle of the Ngorongoro crater and Serengeti National Park on the outskirts, but in these areas where there's lions, and they're able to do that. If they can manage that, I think we can figure out a way in this country to live among wolves and to live together. I would love to chat with you more about this topic, so join me tomorrow for a live chat at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, and drop me your questions and comments down below on wolf reintroduction by using the hashtag wolves. And don't forget to share this video with a friend, hit that like button, and subscribe. I'll see you next week.